Claire. Let's give Claire a warm welcome. Yes, Claire! Claire, what grade are you in?
Right now I'm in 4th, but I'm soon going to be in 5th.
That's good. I'm glad you know the future. That's perfect. Now, why are you excited to be here tonight?
Because I'm just excited.
Yeah. No other explanation. Now, I do believe, tell me the truth. Is it true that your dad has a ringside seat, but didn't get you guys ringside seats?
That is true, but it's because of his YouTube channel, okay? It's his YouTube, okay?
Her dad's an influencer. Let him go, guys. But your dad's awesome, right?
Yeah.
See, he's awesome. Yeah! Give it up for Claire. Thank you so much, Claire. High five. Yeah!
Can you believe that there are some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance Vlog podcast? Shame on you! Shame on you! My name is Ella Envy, and I'm one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion. And I'm Kenzie Paige, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion. And you better go listen to the Alliance Vlog, what is it called again? Podcast, period. Or you're ugly. Pretty Empower approved.
Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance Vlog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio. Dubby. What is up, everybody? Oh no, my set's falling apart behind me. God, it's seems very zoomed in. Ah! We're professionals here at the Alliance. My name is J Cal. Welcome to the pre-party. This is a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. We're here every Tuesday to talk to you about the NWA. I'm out of focus. The camera seems all zoomed in. What's going on over here, man? I feel like I'm working with amateurs over here. What's going on with this place? You need to hire better staff. You need to hire a better staff, J Cal. Anyways, this is the Alliance Blog podcast. Well, it's not the Alliance Blog podcast. It is the pre-party with me, J Cal. If you're tuning in for the first time, first of all, thank you for being here. If you're tuning in here weekly, again, thank you for being here. What we do, if you are unaware, is we talk about the National Wrestling Alliance. And when we do that, we talk about the hour before Power. That's a lot of extra audio I don't need. We talk about the NWA. We share our opinions on what's good, what's bad, what's indifferent. And we hopefully you guys enjoy what we do over here. And your comments are always welcome in the chat. We do read them live. I see some of my friends already are in the house. Willie Bowen is here. Tim from Alliance Gold is here. We already have our first Tyrus joke, which is Tyrus is threatening to bankrupt Charmin toilet paper. I don't know if that's by using it in excess or not using it any further. You're going to have to explain that one a little bit better to me, Willie. Good news, if you enjoy listening to the Alliance Guys podcast each and every Thursday here on YouTube or on twitch.tv, that's awesome. But if you're one of the many listeners who like to catch the episodes after the fact, maybe while you're working out at the gym or on that long ride to work, we are now available on iHeartRadio. So as opposed to being on Spotify, we are also on iTunes. Or is it the iTunes store? What is it called? the Apple Play, whatever they call the Apple podcast. I'm getting flustered because I don't remember. We're on Stitcher, we're on Amazon, and now we're on we are also on iHeart Music. And I'm gonna sneeze. And Terry McDermott's here. Hi, Terry. Scooby's here too. Allergy season's been kicking my butt, man. I'm ready for sponsors for that. Anyways, messing things up over here. Stop touching things, Jake. How you're screwing everything up. So one of the things that I want to talk about, because it's kind of cool. I don't know if you guys know this. We keep talking. I sing the praises of our traveling world champions. Now you've seen La Rebellion. They're all over the place, man. Whether it be, Mecha Wolf in the studio or at doing concerts with the band Monster Wolf. He's out there making music, doing another genre of entertainment, but as well as wrestling. Him and Bestia Seis have toured the world defending those world tag team titles in England, in Mexico, in Australia, all over the United States. They are unbeaten. They are your tag team champions, and they continue to do so in a very dominant fashion. But they are not the only globetrotters, if you will, in the National Wrestling Alliance. And we always bring up the wonderful, awesome, one-time Women's World Champion in Camille. She holds the Burke. She's defended the Burke in the United Kingdom. She's defended the Burke in Mexico. She's defended the Burke all over the United States, Canada as well. I mean, you could say North America, she's got it locked down. And she continues to do so, but she's got some good opponents that are coming up in the next few weeks. And I just want to briefly point out some of her opponents that she is set to face. Obviously, this weekend will be a big weekend if you're in the Northeast, especially the New York, New Jersey area. We've got Camille in Flushing, New York, as a part of the autograph signing on May 20th, which I believe is Sunday. But she also will be wrestling the night before at the 200th show. Warriors of Wrestling on Friday. Oh, that's okay. So the 20th is a Saturday. Friday, May 19th, Camille will be in competition against who? I don't know. I don't even know if the Women's World Championship is going to be defended, but it's pretty cool that Camille will be at the Warriors of Wrestling event taking place in Brooklyn, New York this Friday, May 19th. We do know that she has a scheduled defense coming up in July against the mother of the artist formerly known as Paige in the WWE, Saraya Knight. The mom actually wrestles as her daughter's real life name, Saraya. So Saraya Knight will be challenging for the NWA Women's World Championship on July 28th at 5 p.m. A night to remember. And I'm not sure where that's at. I don't know exactly where that's at, but pretty cool for cool for Camille to be defending the title against such a premium opponent. And it's we always talk about the NWA and how they're doing things right and the good things that they're doing. I'm very excited to see Camille in these type of matches. Let's see, real quick, seeing some of the comments. I'll jump to them real quick before I go back to finishing my thoughts. Willie Bowen's in the house that says, Jake, have you ever watched WoW or Title Match Wrestling on YouTube? I've checked in on WoW. Friend of the show, friend in real life, Ruby Reyes is La Reina del Rey. La Reina del Rey. Yeah, there we go. La Reina del Rey. Easy for me to say. She is actively competing for WoW, so because my friend and somebody I admire works for WoW, I try to check him out as often as I can. Kayfabe Soup is in the house. What's going on, Heebs? Glad to see you here. That's a dope logo, man. And then our pal Jeremy's here. Thanks for joining us, Jeremy. Jeremy, along with Dave, Scooby, and Alliance Gold Tim, host Wednesday's show, which is the other Alliance Guys podcast. They do a deep dive in the United Wrestling Network each and every week. Plus, Dave Scooby does some fantasy booking, and they break down all the events that happen on NWA USA. I highly recommend checking them out as well. And our pal Dave Scooby said Japan is overrated. Well, I mean, I would never say that Japan is overrated, but there are communities where wrestling is treated differently, right? In the United States, it's almost treated like a circus. And I'm not saying that necessarily is a bad thing, but it's more of it's a different environment, say, than maybe in Mexico. Like I've been to Mexico, and I've actually seen Lucha Libre in its purest form in the mecca of Lucha Libre, the Arena Mexico, Arena Coliseo in Mexico City. And the Lucha Libre is not, they say that it's so much different, but it really isn't. At the end of the day, it's very similar. They work to get a reaction out of the people in attendance. And the same thing with wrestling all across the world. Japan has always been considered this mythical island of pro wrestling, where if you don't make it into the WWE, then you have to go to Japan. And that's not even necessarily true anymore. I mean, now we do still see wrestlers going back and forth into, man, I'm so out of focus. We do see some of the Japanese talent coming to the United States, and of course, a lot of talents from the United States going to Japan. But I don't think that that's the mark that it used to have back in the day. It used to it meant like you've made it, and sometimes you would make it in Japan and not make it elsewhere. So for Heebs' comment, it's not far off. I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, anyways. Glad you got off work early today, Heebs. To finish my thought, man, I really hate the fact that my camera is not in its right position, and it's bothering me. My head's being cut off and everything else. But to finish the thought I had earlier with regards to our world champions, another champion who doesn't disappoint would be Kerry friggin' Morton. I don't know if that's his middle name, but it damn well should be. Kerry Morton has really taken the world of professional wrestling by storm. Kerry Morton, the son of Ricky Morton, he himself a second-generation wrestler, Kerry being a third-generation wrestler, really has taken to the sport in a way that I don't think a lot of us had expected. Now, when he came into the NWA, he was hugging babies, he was kissing girls on the cheek. I mean, he was what you would consider a white meat baby face. He was very almost to a point where he was dull, almost to a point where it was almost like a parody of Ricky. And things have started to change very, very slowly, but they've started to change. And this new version that we're seeing out of Kerry Morton may be born in the bingo halls of Game Changer Wrestling. We've seen a different guy. He's very different than what we got when he first debuted in the NWA. And this progression has only gotten worse over the last few months after winning the Junior Heavyweight Championship, the tirades that he's gone on with GCW, Brett Lauderdale, and that whole fiasco. But then heading down to Mexico and really galvanizing that audience against him. If you guys finally got to see the footage, you got to hear those fans in Mexico City. Not only were they rooting for Jack Cartwheel, called him Jack Cartwheel. Not only did they pop for Jack Cartwheel, but if you listen, you could hear those fans start churning and cheering for Sal the Pal, cheering for Sal Renaro, the former Wildside Junior Heavyweight Champion, the former Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion. That audience shifted because Kerry Morton was so good at being so bad. And Kerry Morton has actually started appearing elsewhere. Like we talked about his matches in Australia, the Southern Six. We've actually talked about that quite a bit. But the interesting thing about this whole Southern Six thing is I want to know where they stand after the Crockett Cup. But I'm getting kind of ahead of myself. Kerry Morton obviously has this match. It's been set in stone for quite some time. He's going to be facing Fodder June 17th, I believe. Yeah, June 17th. They picked the worst version of the junior heavyweight title. It's a belt that hasn't been used. That was the last used title. Not a very popular version of the title, I might add. he has that matchup set up July 17th. And then we also know that he's got, I don't know why it didn't come up here. Hold the phone. What is going on? Everything's not working the way it's supposed to today. That's all right. We'll figure it out. If I can pull it up on the screen. If not, I'll just talk about it. But, ain't that something? Oh, there it is. I knew I'd find it. There it is. Then Kerry Morton is going to be also heading to up north. He too has become an official North American traveler, a global champion, if you will. Kerry Morton not only defending in Australia, not only defending in Mexico, but now with the opportunity to defend in Canada and Port Hope, Ontario, which begs the question, Alliance Gold, how far away are you from Port Hope, Ontario? I just think it's really, as I'm being overly boisterous today, and I don't exactly know why. I think it's because my camera is making me angry. But nevertheless, why is this not even? Hey, well, look at that! It's a red title belt. What a beautiful looking championship belt, right next to my other favorite championship belt, the NWA British Commonwealth title. Both very beautiful championship title belts. Sometimes the show is just for one person, and sometimes it's for everyone. But yeah, let me see. Our pal Kayfabe Soup, better known to you, you plebeians as Heebs, says, then you have internet jabronis use their platforms to say how big of a deal it is because that's what they like without supporting the success, without any facts, and the vocal minority buys into that. I wish I'd have seen what oh, here it is. I'm sorry. There was a part 1 to that. Somewhere in 2000, wrestling in Japan lost its TV deal. The workers from the 80s say the pay fell off from the heyday. The thing is, people only talk about the glory years without mentioning the fallout. Then you have internet jabronis use their platforms to say how big of a deal it is because that's what they like without supporting the success with any facts, and the vocal minority buys into that. There is a lot of misconstrued information. At one point, I'm not going to say names. I'm not going to mention names, but there was a world's heavyweight champion from the NWA who paid for himself to wrestle in Japan. Now, the internet marks kind of popped for it because it was a big deal because our world title was being defended in Japan. But let me ask you, gentlemen, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, does it still make a sound? I'm too much today. My camera is making me mad. Why does it look like that? Why is my head getting cut off? Yeah, so I've never believed, I never bought into that Japan is the end all be all. I mean, I look at a guy like, let's talk about Rocky Romero, because he's a guy that's made it pretty much everywhere on every continent and every promotion that he's worked for. Now, obviously, Rocky Romero has never made it to the WWE. He probably never will. Their junior heavyweight division, the cruiserweights, just didn't. It was too late for him to be a star in the division, and he was too early for them to recognize that junior heavyweight division. But you've got that junior heavyweight division. You got Rocky Romero, who has excelled in New Japan Pro Wrestling, has excelled in Ring of Honor. If it was a few years earlier, probably would have been one of the stars of AEW. Has made his name in Mexico, both in AAA and in CMLL. It's interesting. Early in his career, as part of they called them the Havana Brothers, Rocky Romero, Ricky Reyes, and originally Bobby Quance, later TJ Perkins, would wrestle in CMLL as a trios, and he actually had won the CMLL Super Ligero Championship, and this is like 2004, maybe 2003, and this was a pretty cool deal back in the day. He actually brought that title to the United States, had some title defenses in Southern California. Some of those matches were with the then NWA Championship Wrestling from Hollywood and some of their affiliates. I think that was awesome. Rocky Romero still has success in CMLL. He is now the NWA historic middleweight champion. Nothing to do with the current NWA. Well, the point of all this was you don't have to go to Japan to have a name. He did, but you don't need to. You can make your name in Mexico. There are plenty of talents now starting to get by competing in Europe, in England, Germany. There are a lot of places to work, and I don't think that the end-all be-all is Japan. All right, let's see. I kind of went off there. Paladin's in the house. What's up, Paladin? James Bell is here. Alliance Gold says Port Hope. I'll go to that. That's awesome. 2.5 hours. That's a long drive, but you can see heel Kerry Morton in Canada. I mean, go for it. By the way, Derby City and Hollywood were mentioned on the Cornet Experience. That's cool, man. As well as they should be. What they're doing in Derby City is very unique. I'm a huge fan of Dave Marquez, and everybody knows that. I don't hide that fact. His studio style of wrestling is getting play. Both with Championship Wrestling and Derby City. And, of course, his partnership with Memphis should not be forgotten about either. Those three little markets are kind of growing into something bigger. It's still way early to say anything is going to be earth-breaking or ground-changing, groundbreaking for Derby City, because it's like, I think, maybe the fourth show that they taped. But I really feel like it's going to grow into something, and he's got the right mix of the right sponsors, the right talent. I really feel like Derby City could be something very, very big going forward for the United Wrestling Network. I have nothing negative to say about Murdoch at all. Murdoch is awesome. He signed the 10 pounds of replica. Terry McDermott's a fan of Derby City. Poyle says, if you fart in the wind but nobody can smell it, does it even matter? Awesome, Poyo. Love it. Paladin points out Rocky works at AEW. He does, but I mean, he's not a star in AEW. And I really feel like if AEW was a few years earlier, that Rocky Romero very much would have been one of the stars of that show. Kayfabe says, like a company like Stardom just had their all-time best attendance a few weeks ago. It had 5,000 heads. Yeah, that's not, I mean, let's face it, that's a good number for any indie, right? But they're no longer considered indie, right? They're under the same parent organization as New Japan Pro Wrestling, right? Paladin said worked for Kenny Omega. Maybe he's saying he had a match with Kenny Omega. Poyo says Japan, though, is a great place for certain U.S. talents to get over in ways the U.S. fans don't support. Then they can come back with some cachet. Poyo, you're right. Please don't misunderstand. I like opportunity, right? I think for example, let's take everyone's favorite guy right now, my favorite guy right now. Let's put the Thrillbilly in Japan. Maybe he doesn't excel in a promotion like DDT. Maybe he does. But he would be wasting his time going to a promotion like 0-1. But if Pro Wrestling Noah or All Japan was looking for, a Kaijin heavyweight, well, hell yeah, he would make sense. And he would get over in a different kind of way than he gets over here in the United States. Still would be himself, still would be the same guy. Yeah. 5K is a lot. Is it when you talk about a national company? I think 5,000 is a lot for an indie, but I think when you start talking about companies that are, privately owned corporations, then I start thinking like maybe 5,000 isn't that good. Maybe it's me. Poyle Lamar says he needs Omega got over in Japan. Yeah, and it's true. Like there is, I'm not saying that there's one exclusive way to get over anywhere. I think, hell, when Vader, yeah, I think you would, Poyle. I think you're right. I stand corrected. I take it back. My phone is blowing up from New York. People are calling me from New York. Vince is offering me a job. Source, JCal. But I don't necessarily think it's mutually exclusive. You don't have to be in Japan to get over. You don't have to be in Mexico to get over. I think if you can get over, you can get over. Paladin says I need to type complete sentences. I need to think in complete sentences. So it's all good. Don't worry about it. So what do you guys want to talk about? we're heading to Crockett Cup. Like I said, getting back to Kerry Morton defending the World Junior Heavyweight title in Canada. Although it's not like, again, it's not New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's not one of the biggest companies in the world. But the fact that on his own, with the World Junior Heavyweight title, he's been able to take it all over the world. I think that's a pretty huge deal. All right, well, Poyo's going to just spit facts. So fine, Poyo, spit your facts. And Heebs and I we agree. Like, look, what I'm saying is this in the very simplest sentences, that a wrestler who is quality can get over with a lot of different wrestling promotions, different styles. And the cream, like Macho Man Randy Savage says, always rises to the top. Doesn't matter what promotion, doesn't matter under what sort of set of circumstances. John Cena, didn't have to go through the dojos of New Japan Pro Wrestling to be one of the hottest wrestlers of our generation, right? Batista and Roman Reigns didn't spend any time in Mexico City getting over to get over. There's a different fix and a different mix for everyone involved. That's fair, Poyo. You know what? You're right. I won't ever tell you that you're wrong when you're right. So tonight we head to the Crockett Cup via another episode of NWA Power. I do want you guys to sign off on the comments, though, because USA, we got our first taste of The World is a Vampire in Mexico. And I want to know what you guys thought of the show. You finally got to see it some, 5 months later. Not 5 months. That's ruthless, Jay. It's only 3. It's only 3 months later. I want to know what you guys thought of the show. What did you think of the mix of talent? What did you think of the NWA getting heel heat? What did you think about the actual wrestling? What did you think about the look and feel of the show? I know that came up a lot on our Discord when the AAA was having their Lucha Libre World Cup event where there was a lot of NWA wrestlers involved. I know that our pal Doty brought up the fact that the camera work was terrible for the wow, just losing my voice over here. The Lucha Libre World Cup didn't really like the camera work. I heard that the NWA production team had to put a little bit of work on the actual footage that they had. They weren't very happy with it exactly the way it was. Poyo mentions the television championship. I've had that one for a while. It was a gift. And as our pal Alliance Gold, Tim, alluded to earlier in the podcast, I have an affinity for the red strap NWA World Television title. It's the belt that Arn wore. It's the belt that, I don't know, I just always loved the look of the red leather with the silver. Always been very happy with that championship. So when it was given to me, I was very happy to receive that. Also, what you have here is the NWA British Commonwealth Championship, a belt that is synonymous with NWA Hammerlock, NWA Quebec, and of course, believe it or not, NWA Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. That title was a part of many of the early days of David Marquez's wrestling promotion out here in Santa Monica, California, where that title was defended quite regularly in the Santa Monica Inoki Dojo. Let's see the commentary. Kayfabe Soup says the edits came off a little different. Things were a bit shortened for the NWA version and probably for the better. I was hoping for a Gally and Kyle commentary, but oh well. I like the fact that it was Tim Storm and Gally. I just felt like that's the more natural fit, but I would have hated, say, a Kyle and Joe version of the commentary. One of the things that I kind of was surprised at is each of those shows, because there is one more, roughly was about an hour long as well. And I kind of felt like, if you got creative with this, you could have probably split it up into 3 episodes, maybe even 4, especially if it's USA, which typically USA is, between 25 and 45 minutes. It doesn't have to be a full hour. You could have been a little bit more creative with it. And I think you could have gotten more content out of it. One of the things that I was desperately worried about is that they would play these episodes. The World is a Vampire tour would replace maybe Power leading up to the Crockett Cup. Thankfully, they're doing the right thing and airing them in prior to the Crockett Cup, so that all the build that they shot in Chicago and Highland Park will lead directly to Crockett Cup. So the continuity wise, I think it'll feel more authentic. And I really, what I'm kind of hoping for, and this is J. Cal's wishing. I understand that this isn't fact per se, but along with the footage that they shot in Australia, along with the footage that they will be shooting in the United States as part of the World is a Vampire tour, when they come tour across this great country of ours, we're going to see some more wrestling. And it would be a kick, a hoot, a holler if they would replace temporarily NWA USA as just a place to distribute that content. So you can focus all of your TV tapings from, the post Crockett Cup, focus all that energy onto producing content for Power leading up to the 75th anniversary show, and all the content that they're shooting on tour as the part of the World as a Vampire would be released via the NWA USA program. Let's see. More comments. Poya says, yeah, I'm sure they could have, but they're trying to tell stories pushing the Crockett Cup, though. Yes, and I get that, Poya. Totally get that. I know earlier in the season for Power, or for USA, there was an episode that went like 25 minutes. It was kind of short considering some of the other episodes are closer to 45 minutes. I'm not saying that's the end of the world. I'm just saying, like, there's other ways you could have done it. Maybe they could have pushed some more of that content to Power and had that more exclusive for USA. You could have 3 episodes of USA earlier in the year, or earlier in the month, I guess, April, while you're rolling things out for Power. Maybe even drop in some of the footage from Australia. But that's one person's opinion. I'm not always right. Let's see. Mike is in the house. Mike's my buddy. I did say hi to Terry. If I didn't, hi, Terry. Poya says, exactly. All roads in the NWA are leading to Winston-Salem right now. I'm not going to be at this Crockett Cup, and I don't know how to feel about it. I feel kind of disappointed, to be quite honest. I had been at the last 2 Crockett Cups. I was supposed to be at the one in 2020 as well. In fact, tickets were purchased. I had tickets. So I kind of feel like I was there, even though it never took place because of COVID. But I won't be at Crockett Cup 2023, and I'm kind of disappointed. But with that being said, in my mind, although Crockett Cup is a very important pay-per-view and it has a lot of, will tell a lot of great stories, I will be at the 75th anniversary show. That is, to me, where my energy would be best served. I didn't get to go to the 73rd. I didn't go to the 74th. So I'll be back at the 75th. It seems like I go to an anniversary show every 5 years, and I'm not okay with that, but we'll roll with it. Mike said he's happy that the Heat Seekers are in the Cup. Now, whether they stay in the NWA or this is another one-off, I don't know, but I hope not. Well, the thing is, and I think, this is open to interpretation, but if you enter the Crockett Cup, I think at that point, you were part of the NWA, at least briefly. Now we know that in 2019, right, the boys, Ring of Honor's the boys were a part of the Crockett Cup. In 2022, they returned as the Tate Twins, so they made 2 consecutive Crockett Cup appearances. We also know that in 2019, we also had the Briscoe brothers appear at the Crockett Cup. They made their return to the NWA at the second Crockett Cup, the 2020 Crockett Cup. So now that the Heat Seekers broke the seal, if you will, they made it into the NWA at Crockett Cup 2022. So as far as I'm concerned, it's canon, brother. They're part of the NWA. They're recognized as former world tag team champions. I'm all good with that. And then Apoyo wants to say the Heat Seekers are man, why can't I speak anymore? Integrally involved with the Joe Kazana Promotions, which is a strong partnership with the NWA. I mean, it might as well be a sister promotion at this point, and I'm all for that too. Terry says he's not buying the pay-per-view because he's unhappy with Fight. I'm very unhappy with Fight too, Terry, but it's the Crockett freaking Cup, and I'm so excited to see what happens. I mean, most of all, and I'm sure Poyle like me to hear me say this, is that you're going to have Thrillbilly, Silas Mason, the Thrill Daddy, in the ring with EC3 for that national championship. And that, to me, that's the cost of admission right there. I would pay to see that match. If it was in California, I would drive the 2.5 hours to see it. So I'm definitely going to pay with my money because it's a match I want to see. Poyle says you should feel quite disappointed because this is a historic event returning to the heart of NWA country. Hey, Poyle, I was at the why can't I talk in Cabarrus Arena when they came to Concord, which is basically North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. So I feel like I was there. You know, I didn't get to see them, the NWA in the Omni, but I did get to see them in Georgia. I did get to see them in Atlanta, Nashville. I got to see them in North Carolina. I got to see them in Chalmette. Let's just call that New Orleans, right? So I've seen them in some pretty integral places. I got to see them in Mexico City. I got to see the world champion defend in China. So I'm good, Poyo. I don't think the history buffs are going to hold that against me that I didn't see them in Winston-Salem. Let's see. Mike says just last time Seekers were in was just the cup. After that, they poofed. I want those two to stay in the NWA. I know they wrestle for Tony, Kazana, and other promotions. Yeah, I mean, they're part of Innovative Pro Wrestling, and Innovate is doing some pretty innovative things. And we're talking about our boy Kerry Morton and how he's defending the junior heavyweight championship everywhere. But I mean, he's also going to be defending against Sigmund in just a few weeks from now. He'll be there May 27th. In fact, that's actually next week. In fact, Tony Givens of Innovate is going to be on this not this podcast. Excuse me. He'll be on the Alliance guys Thursday night. Not tomorrow night, Thursday night. And we'll be talking about Kerry Morton versus Sigmund. We'll be talking about the Heat Seekers being involved back in the NWA again. And hopefully we'll get some more discussion about, what's happening at Innovate. Tony Givens was always a good friend to the Alliance when they were part of the NWA. And that never changed. I still wish Tony nothing but the best. It's always been kind to me, and I want to see great things happening for him. Let's see. More comments. Sam Retro, 75 will be my first NWA event and first time being to St. Louis, so I'm super hyped. Retro is already looking for arcades, guys. I mean, he's got a plan. And I hope that plan has a little bit of time to carve out to hang out with the Alliance. We'll be doing a NWA 75th Alliance Summit. And hopefully, Poyle, if you come by, I'll buy you a hamburger or a hot dog or whatever it is you want to eat. Let's see. I'm happy about the Heat Seekers also. Mike wants them on TV. Kayfabe says, humble brag, my NWA All Access doesn't run off till the weekend after Crockett Cup. That's amazing. That's awesome. Mine pooped out immediately. Poyo says, amen, that's a marquee match. Big Daddy Thrill versus EC3 is going to carry the load, and it's going to be legendary. I mean, more so than it just carrying the load. Like, that's the biggest title match on the card as of right now. We haven't had an official booking yet of Camille defending her title. We do know that Kenzie Paige is supposed to be defending her title, I think, on night number 2, which is great. But I mean, we're talking about the national championship, a title that has been held by greats like Colt Cabana and Willie Mack and Aaron Stevens and Trevor Murdoch and some pretty good talent. Chris Adonis, Cyon, Jax, MF, and Dane. A lot of good guys held that belt. Let's see. Poyo said, part of my goal is doing the wrestling in 5 new states, and North Carolina is the first of those. Awesome, Poyo. Very excited for you. That's cool. You know, I love to see people reach their goals. This, you know, J. Cal sometimes can be very pessimistic about the National Wrestling Alliance, but I'm a very positive person in real life, and I'm very much happy to see all of our NWA friends and family do well. And Poyo, like, you're part of that. We want to lift you up. We want to see you managing in the Crockett Cup next year with your own tag team, maybe Thrillbilly and somebody else for next year. Poyo says, we main event night number 1. The main event for night number 2, obviously, is the Crockett Cup. That is there you go. Let's see, excuse me. Poyo also says you're doing an alliance meetup in St. Louis. Absolutely, Poyo. That's what we do. We congregate. We spread the passion that is the NWA. Where we're gonna meet up yet? I don't know. I got to talk to people. I got to talk to Fuzz. Fuzz knows what's up. I got to talk to Luthez. He knows what's up. But hopefully we can go somewhere, grab some barbecue, maybe have a daddy soda, say hello to everyone, take a few pictures. When I went to New Jersey and met up I don't know how to talk. Hey, Poyo, did I show you that I have a Thrillbilly action figure? Look at that Thrillbilly action figure. Don't. The FB stands for freaking Billy right there. Freak Billy. Freak Billy. I love it. No, that's the Thrillbilly. Terry Gordon never had abs like that, Thrillbilly. I mean, Poyo. God, I didn't get enough sleep last night, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, we are gonna do a meetup. Details as soon as I get them. We don't even know for sure what weekend the 75th is, but as soon as I get that details, we're gonna share it here in the chat. Of course, luminaries like Poyo and Thrillbilly, and Jax and anybody I know who would like to come hang out for an afternoon or an evening or whatever, will be invited. Maybe they can come, maybe they can't. When we were in New Jersey for the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators event, Tim and his lovely wife drove down from Toronto. Dave Scooby drove in. I flew in, and we all got to hang out. So it was pretty cool. That's what I thought it was too, Poyo. Like, it's on my calendar as the 25th, but I mean, that's all the same. But you know, I don't know if it's been confirmed yet. But if it isn't, hopefully it will be soon. There's dogs barking in the room next to my studio. That's great. Mike says, Poyo, it's time for Silas to contact Figures Toy Company for a Thrillbilly action figure. Poyo says those dates are on the calendar. So awesome. That's great, because that's what I was hoping for. That's kind of what I was tentatively scheduling. So that sounds good to me. You know, a lot of names were released last night via This Is the NWA podcast with Joe Galley. Well, it's Gary Horn's show. I should say that first. Gary Horn's podcast with the likes of Joe Galley and Kyle Davis and the Deals, man, Danny Deals. How good has Danny Deals been on commentary? They need to keep him there. We need to keep Danny Deals in the booth, and that's no disrespect to any of the other broadcasters, but I want to see Danny Deals in that booth. Let's see. K-Fib says, I went to a dope smokehouse back at 73. I'll look up what it was and pass it on in the Discord later. That would be awesome. Yeah, Poyo's talent. She doesn't pay for rooms. That's not how it works. And then Poyo mentioned a company came to me about a possible action figure not long ago. You know, Barbie has Ken. Poyo could have a Thrillbilly. Okay. All right. I'm not going to repeat that, Mike. Getting to the show. Well, let's talk about the Crockett Cup real quick. Now, this isn't the end-all, be-all. Of course, I think there are more names to be announced, and I don't even have graphics for everyone, but this is what I could steal off. Download from the podcast last night. We know that, of course, Knox and Murdoch will be involved. Of course, the world champions, they get the buy-in. You got Carrie and Ricky in. This could spell disaster for the Mortons. They might not ever be the same after Crockett Cup. You got the U.S. Tag Team Champions in the Country Gentlemen's. Then you've got Toxin and Arez. Again, we mentioned Toxin and Arez last week. You guys got to see Arez this week on USA. He teamed up with, I don't remember her name now. But he teamed up with, I think it was La Hereda. But he teams up with Toxin. They'll be part of the tournament. We'll see them. TNT, I'm not super familiar with these guys, but I know that they are the sons of Devon Dudley. That's pretty dope right there. There's not just one royal family. You've got the Dudley, okay, they're not Dudleys, but they are the offspring of the Dudleys. You've got, look, everyone's trying to come up with a name for this tag team, and it's easy. It's War and Thunder. That's it. War and Thunder, KRATOS and Odinson. You also have, at the Crockett Cup Night 1, there's going to be a hardcore team war featuring Pretty Empowered versus Samantha Starr, La Rosa Negra, and M95, your women tag team champions. The cool thing about Team War is that there's always been like a prize at the end of it. I wonder if there'll be a prize involved with this matchup. Of course, you have Idolmania Sports Management officially back at it with Cyon and Clearwater. The most unique tag team, the first time there's been a non-binary competitor in the Crockett Cup. You've got Maxie and Paler teaming with Judeus, making history in this Crockett Cup. We've got Flip Gordon and Fodder. Of course, Flip Gordon has kind of been, missing in action for a while now. Flip Gordon was supposed to be a part of the Crockett Cup in 2020. Of course, we saw him at the 74th anniversary show being the hand-picked opponent for Nick Aldis. But Flip Gordon is a guy who, for whatever reason, has not been showcased in the brightest of spotlights, which is kind of like Billy Corgan's specialty. He likes to find talent who are unknown or misused. It puts him in a different opportunity. So maybe we'll get something new with Fodder and Flip. Maybe not. Then we have a cut above because they're both cut, very, very muscular, very athletically fit. You got Tom Latimer, your current world television champion, teaming with the Ring of Honor former television champion. You've got the Fixers, who I don't even know how they got into this damn tournament. They were supposed to wrestle a qualifying match. They lost. They should have been it. They got beat by Murdoch. They got beat by Knox. Why they're in the tournament again, I don't really know. You've got the Heat Seekers, like we mentioned earlier in the show. Matt Sigmund, Elliot Russell. Very happy to see these guys make their return to the NWA. Then again, another team from AAA, Mystices Jr. and Octagon Jr. This should be a very good matchup. I'm excited to see these guys in the NWA. Octagon Jr., again, teamed with Commander to take on Cyon and Homicide at the World is a Vampire Tour. Looked great. Should be a lot of fun in that. My camera looks so wonky right now. It's making me mad. I'll have to fix it later, I guess. All right, let's see. Now, you guys are catching me up on comments, and I wasn't reading it. Let's see. No, Jay, I didn't mean you and in some room, but if you want, we'll see, Mike. La Hiedra, like Hydra, Hiedra. I'm taking Duolingo, and I'm learning Spanish, and I am getting pretty decent at it, but words that I'm not familiar with and I haven't heard a lot of takes a little bit for me to get used to. But I'm trying, guys. I really am, because I want to go to Tijuana and Mexico City again and watch Lucha Libre and be able to interact in those shows and understand what's happening, not just kind of visually, but hear the storytelling that's going on. Hugo was going off in Mexico, and I couldn't understand everything he was saying. That's what I want to do next year. Let's see. He read Edra. Yeah. Arez seemed like quite the crowd worker in that match. Yeah, I mean, I didn't really get it, to be quite honest. I wasn't overly impressed. He was okay. But I mean, he's got Blue Demon Jr. seal of approval, and if that means anything to you at all, that's I mean, he's former NWA world champion. The War and Thunder Gods, WATG, but you just use initials for their first 4 words. The World and Thun God. Mike says I'll be honest, I don't normally like intergender tag teams. I like this. I don't care anymore about the non-binary stuff. This tag team and the matches they had worked. Look, what I like about Max is when Max steps into that ring, Max is just another competitor. Doesn't matter if Max is in the ring with women or men. Max is just another competitor. They don't take it easy on Max when it's a male-dominated match, and they sure as hell don't take it easy on her when it's a female-dominated match. Max just exists. And in the real world, Max exists. So I'm all right with it. I'm fine with it. I've made peace with it. If Max is in the ring with men and she's fighting men the same way that they are fighting the other competitors in the ring, who cares? KRATOS and Odie, the War and Thunder Gods, but you just use the initials for the first 4 words. Okay. What about the Clown Brothers? God, you're right. I forgot about the Clown Brothers. I didn't steal the graphic. I mean, download the graphic. I mean, borrow artwork from Hebon. But yeah, I think it's kind of cool. I'm not a big fan of clowns. I didn't really like Yabo. I know I'm in the minority. We'll see how that turns out. Great Odinson, that's pretty good too. Yeah, Poyo, I'm not that clever. You have to understand I'm a very simple man with simple interests, and it went right over my head. God, quit beating up on me there, Poyo. Let's see, graphics in the other alliance guys drop down. I don't know if I can't pull that up while we're live. Paladin, Paladin, and I'm just being honest here. I think Max goes out of Max's way to remove the fetish. Now, I guess like there is a fetish for everything, and I suppose some people could find that attractive. I don't look at Max as that way. I look at Max as just a body in the ring. Lamb notices it. Yeah, the camera's not cooperating with me, Lamb. It's not. Oh, sorry. Poya says, I love Paladin. Just step in the ring with Max and see what happens. And again, I don't think it even needs to come to that. I just feel like, I bet when Max is just Max they are not intimidating the way that they are when they're in the ring. I'm sure Max is a perfectly pleasant person, but when Max is out there, they don't look like most competitors. They don't look like they don't really fit the average female talent, and Max certainly doesn't fit the norm for most male talent. So where do you place a competitor like Max? Again, if Max is in there taking suplex and chops and drop kicks, then Max could be in with the men. And, as long as it's the same treatment. I one time watched Ruby Reyes wrestle Bad Dude Tito in a hardcore match, and Ruby Reyes is one of my favorite people. Reyes is taller than me. Reyes is, she's not a small person, and she went out there and beat the shit out of Tito, and Tito beat the shit out of her, and it was violent. And a lot of times I cringed because I consider Reyes a friend, and so when I saw like sticks being broken over her, it made me feel kind of weird. But at the end of the day, Reyes is about as big as Tito is. Reyes can get in the ring with the dude, and it doesn't look like weird. Poyo says, Max, it almost looks more ridiculous when Max is in the ring with women. That's kind of true. Let's get some more of the comments. Our pal Lamb's in the house. I am a Lamb son guy. I wasn't the first one, and I won't be the last one, but I'm a part of that club. The camera is off. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I get it. I don't know what's going on. Because it's not. I zoomed it out as far as it will. Willie says clowns is the circus or WWE. Yeah. Lamb asks, am I happy with the teams in the Crockett Cup? For the most part, I'm good with it. I guess it was wishful thinking to hope like the FTR would be in there. While we're just being way obtuse, like, Jeff Hardy recently has come back to AEW. I know that things aren't exactly peachy keen between AEW and the NWA, but I would have loved to seen a team like the Hardy Boys, the Hardys, make it into the Crockett Cup. I would have really, really liked to seen the Von Erichs at the Crockett Cup. And also, I feel like there's a lot of tag teams that are out there that would have added depth to the Crockett Cup. I know that United Wrestling Network and the NWA don't exactly have a working relationship, but like a tag team like Midnight Heat or the Bodega or Reno Scum, I think, or the Wolf Zaddies or TMDK, I think any one of those groups of tag teams would have been great in the Crockett Cup and are really excellent tag teams. And I feel like it doesn't hurt the quality of the tournament that you didn't include them, but I think it would make the tournament that much better if you had a better tag teams. When I look at Jordan Clearwater and Cyon, I've seen, I'm going to look it up right now. I'll tell you exactly how many times they've worked together as a tag team, because it's more than once. It is. They have wrestled more than once together as a tag team, but not very often, right? For a while there, it was Clearwater and Marche. So just, but we're all on the up and up here. Idolmania Sports Management have done, Clearwater was in a triple threat with Cyon and Jeremiah Plunkett. Clearwater and Cyon lost to the end in a tag team number 1 contenders match. At one point, Clearwater and Marche Rocket defeated Cyon in a triple threat match, or a 2-on-1 handicap match. Let's see. During a team war, no, they weren't even on the same team. Idolmania Sports Management, Cyon and Jordan Clearwater took on the Now at a USA episode, and then Cyon, Clearwater, and Tyrus took on Joe Alonzo and La Rebellion in Nashville. So, I mean, they've teamed a handful of times before. It's not a thrown together tag team, but it's not a team that we're used to seeing very often. Well, thank you, Poy. I appreciate that. So, like, if we could have, I don't know, substituted a team like Clearwater and Cyon and gotten a tag team who teams together like Reno Scum, or, instead of, as much as I love both Tom Latimer and Rhett Titus, they're not regular tag team wrestlers. Would have loved to see maybe a Midnight Heat slotted in there. And, we haven't even brought in TMDK, which would be Shane Haste and Bad Dude Tito, or the Wolf Zaddies, Bad Dude Tito. And why am I drawing a blank on his name? Bad Dude Tito and holy crap, my brain just went buggy. Sorry, guys. Let's get to more comments. Let's see. Whatever happened to Genocide? Genocide, I don't know. I don't think she got hurt. I know she's been wrestling for Mission Pro still. I know that her and Chris Silvio recently went through a divorce, and I don't know, it's no one's business, but maybe she wanted to take a break from the NWA considering he's still there. Thank you, Mike. Poya says FTR would be amazing, but wouldn't it strip a ton of interest and fun if there was a team which nobody would expect the other teams to defeat? It feels much more even, in my opinion. 100%, Poya. Don't get me wrong. I understand the dangers of using some of these big name tag teams. Then you have to be considered you'd have to be considered or worried potentially that it would overshadow the rest of the tournament. The Briscoe brothers potentially could have done that last year. Thankfully, there were a lot of really good teams that were involved. I mean, it was a makeshift team with Harry Smith and the Commonwealth Connection, but that worked. We also had at that point the Kingdom, Taven, and Bennett were still around, so it didn't feel so bad. But the Briscoes were by and far the odds-on favorite to win the cup. I don't think anyone really. I was cheering for the Fixers, but I mean, I think everyone believed that the Briscoes were going to win it, and no one was surprised that they did. Lamb says, "Imagine UWN would do a tag team tournament." I think they could pull it off. There's enough teams between the three brands. I think they could totally pull that off. Heebs is pulling for his girl Sierra, who is a top unsigned talent from Wisconsin. She had a great first match with Kylie. I'm looking forward to that. Also, Koa in the triple threat match is very cool. That's cool. I like to see that. Anyone who undermines the crop of competitors this year, the first 3 years in 1980 was dominated by makeshift pairings, which somehow surprised the established teams. The only tag team to win those first years were the Road Warriors, as expected. It's a good point. Alliance says, "Isn't the now Crockett Cup bound?" We heard that they would be involved. We haven't seen it yet, but I don't think they've announced all the teams yet. Paladin says, "I like the Reno Scum. Watched a lot of them in Impact." Poyo says, "I think it would be awesome to have more established teams included, but there's some common sense elements to including on an NWA heavy roster. That was the 1988 Crockett Cup was." Yeah, like I said, I mean, there's room for it. I mean, we've got Tyrus and Adonis. We've got Murdoch and Knox. I mean, I didn't discount everybody. When Jenna worked AEW, she had to use her real Bionic Beast name. I didn't know that. Lamb says, "Maybe it's better to showcase the own talents than using well-known teams, but yeah, big names would have seen wonders." Yeah, look, I think there's a lot to go for it, and we are at 3:00. We got 5 more minutes before our power starts, so we'll wrap it up. But yeah, I feel like you use the talent that you have, you sprinkle in some talents that'll help pop the buy rates, right, for the pay-per-views, get more people to buy tickets. I feel like the NWA has done a pretty good job of solidifying their own talent. I would have liked to seen a few more outsiders. I think just a little bit more zest, a little bit more pizzazz in the tag team tournament, I think could have helped. Look, they're still drawing pretty well. The NWA seemingly does pay-per-view right. The only one that I haven't really liked was Back for the Attack. I wasn't real thrilled with 312 either, but Back for the Attack was the one that I thought, man, I'm glad, or I wish I wouldn't have spent my money on this one. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Poya says there are pro and cons of both. It would have been great to have 2 or 3 big names, non-NWA teams that would have added some spice. Paladin says, yeah, genocide is not advertiser friendly. That's a good point. Poya also brings up that Sierra is profiled in the current issue of Pro Wrestling Illustrated. So real quick, run down those matches while we have just a minute left. Again, we have the triple threat match featuring an Alex Taylor with 2 arms, Koa Laxamana, and the Psycho Boy Fodder. This should be a very fun triple threat match. We've got the new tag team of the TWAT taking on Cyon and Jordan Clearwater. I'm still calling them War Gods, or War Thunder. And then we've got Pretty Empowered taking on Labrava Escobar and La Rosa Negra. That should be a fun one. And of course, the TV title's on the line when Kenzie Paige and Sierra go toe-to-toe. Guys, it's been a pleasure talking to you today about the NWA. It's been a pleasure having you guys a part of this pre-party. I hope you had a good time. If you like the show, make sure you give a like, a comment, subscribe, a thumbs up. If you really thought it was cool, share it with some of your like-minded wrestling fans. If you'd like to help support the podcast, we do have merchandise available. Link is in the bio on our website and on the video description. But you could also purchase Dubby. It's a jitterless energy drink. It's what helps get me through the day most days, and I very much enjoy it. They have lots of flavors like Beach and Peach is one of my favorite. We also have the the Big Energy Tears, which is like a blue raspberry flavor, and the Galaxy Grenade. This one's pretty good, man. Woo! If you like guava, here you go. Anyways, check it out if you're interested. Again, the links are in the bio. You can also listen to the Alliance Guy podcast now on even more markets and platforms. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple iTunes. We're everywhere where you can listen to your podcast. So please continue to check that out. Also, you can stay social with us. We're on all the social medias at the Alliance blog. Check out our shorts. We're putting up shorts, like short content on YouTube every day, Monday through Friday. New content coming all the time. I appreciate you guys being here. Until next time, we will see you at, as soon as I can figure out where that button is, at the matches. Good night now. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.